Time to re-up YouTube. Your boy Young Mustard is back with another video, and I just have to say, sometimes the truth is staring you right in the face and it takes you so long to realize it. Thankfully that doesn't apply to me because I've always known the greatness of this man Nikola Jokic. Shout out to Jokic and those Denver Nuggets for coming through on that NBA championship last night. I'm recording this right as soon as the game was over, and I have to say, man, the Nuggets, they did exactly what I expected them to do. They dismantled the Heat like I do to my side chicks every week. Don't get me wrong, shout out to the Heat for putting up somewhat of a fight, even though Jimmy Butler went out like a loser. But nonetheless, their power of friendship just wasn't enough to get past the real NBA champs, the Denver Nuggets. And I don't even have too much to say because people with common sense should have expected the Nuggets to win this series, especially after they swept the Lakers and the Celtics were struggling against the Heat. Game 7 or not, they were always going to lose one way or another. But I gotta say, when I look at this Nuggets team, I see players that were cast aside, thrown away like sacks of trash, doubted, disrespected all across the board throughout their entire careers, and now they have reached the pinnacle of basketball success, an NBA championship. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Let's start off with the role players, man. I gotta show some love to KCP. There was a point in time where KCP was the most made fun of player in the league. He was smoking open layups with the Lakers, missing threes for no reason, getting cooked on defense all the time. I remember Dwight Howard had to make a post about KCP saying, just keep fighting through it, we got you, little bro, as if this guy was a cancer patient. But now look at him 3 years later, he is a champion 2 times over with the Lakers and the Nuggets, as he further cements the fact that he is one of the best role players in the league. His efforts as a floor spacer and defender have gone a long way for this Denver Nuggets team's success. Then you got a guy like Bruce Brown, who I was very adamant that the Nets needed to keep last offseason, but they let him walk to the Denver Nuggets. If you know anything about Bruce Brown, you would know that he is a second-round pick that was also signed to the Detroit Pistons earlier on in his career where he was drafted. He showed a lot of progressions on that team, and I was hoping that they would keep him earlier on in his career. He would have been a really solid piece for them right now, but unfortunately they traded him like a sack of trash. But now look at him doing Kyrie layup packages in the NBA Finals. Crazy how time flies. And speaking of time, one guy that time was running out on his ability to win a championship, shout out to Uncle Jeff, man. Obviously he didn't contribute in ways like KCP, Bruce Brown, or definitely guys like Jokic or Murray did, but I have to say, with somebody like Jeff Green, who's had a pretty storied career filled with great moments of posters, I couldn't think of a better way for him to cap it off with a championship in this manner. Also, shout out to the white boy Christian Braun, man. He's nice. Sure, offensively he is a little bit raw, but he did show a lot of flashes like in game 4 with his 15 points in 19 minutes. But we all know his real efforts come defensively, being one of their better wings on that side of the ball on the roster, playing great defense on players like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and now Jimmy Butler in the finals. But then you get to the Nuggets Big Four, and I have to say each and every one of these guys proved their doubters wrong in some way, shape, or form. First, you have somebody like Michael Porter Jr., who in my personal opinion definitely struggled at times in this series, but what gets lost in a lot of these conversations about MPJ, especially this postseason, is the growth he's shown defensively. Just off of his size alone, he obviously has an advantage to guard wings and provide some flexibility, but for starters, his rebounding was so crucial towards their success, especially in the finals. He bullied them on the glass against Miami. But then you throw in his ability on the perimeter to move laterally pretty well, and as good as he's ever done, combined with his help defense, his ability to come from the weak side, whether with blocking shots or contesting at the rim, just providing some level of resistance whenever teams tried to pull Jokic out the paint and succeeded. MPJ's ability on the defensive side of the ball I thought was the best part about his playoff run, in my personal opinion. I mean, I already knew he was a great shooter and one of the best shooters in the league regardless. But AG, man, that's another breed of proving your doubters wrong. AG was seen as a bust in Orlando. I vividly remember people saying he was the most disappointing player in the NBA. The man was taken with the 4th overall pick, hadn't made an all-star game, though he showed improvement in strides offensively and defensively, was obviously very versatile. It was clear that he was just not living up to the standards of a franchise player of any team in the NBA. And instead of people looking at an organization like Orlando that has struggled to develop talent over the last decade or so, they pointed the blame at AG and said he's nothing more than a dunker. And when that trade happened to send him to Denver, I knew immediately that they were going to be contenders forever as long as they were healthy with their big four intact. I mean, I just talked about how MPJ was dominating the glass. Aaron Gordon did a great job with rebounding as well against the Miami Heat in the finals. But throughout the whole playoffs, throughout the whole regular season, Aaron Gordon was one of the most efficient third to fourth options in the league, and there was a point in time where he was the second best player on the Nuggets. And it carried over beautifully into the playoffs, not only offensively with his ability to slash off the ball, catch lobs, abuse mismatches, and at times space the floor from behind the arc, but what he did for them defensively cannot go without being stated. From his great defense on Kevin Durant in the semifinals, to his amazing defense on LeBron James in the conference finals, to then sitting on that weak-ass pump fake from Jimmy Butler in the NBA finals. He took on the responsibility of guarding the opposing team's best wings night in and night out, and he did a great job at it. AG's place in history as one of the best role players on a championship team that we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years will never be forgotten from this Denver Nuggets organization. As long as they got Jokic and Murray producing at this level, AG should be right there with them because he fits with them like a glove, which brings me to the all-star duo themselves. Starting off with Jamal Murray, the man has beaten the bubble allegations officially. Now, I don't think offensively he was as great as he was in the bubble, primarily as a scorer. He wasn't nearly as efficient, but I would say a player going out there and averaging 26 points a game, 7 assists and 6 rebounds on 47, 40, and 93 shooting splits, which equals a 59% true shooting percentage. That is one of the most elite offensive second option postseasons that I have ever seen. I mean, you have to go back to like Kobe Bryant to find something just as impressive, and Kobe was impressive primarily for what he did defensively in comparison, not offensively. And before idiots get on me in the comments and say, what about Steph Curry and the Warriors? Look, Steph and KD, you could pick your poison on who was the number 1 and number 2 option. They were clearly on the same level, if not, one was just barely better than the other. In a case like Jamal Murray and Jokic, it is clear that Jokic is the best player, but Jamal Murray has nights where he puts it in question offensively, I ain't gonna lie. And when I say put it in question, let's be real here, I'm putting that in quotations. I'm talking about in the moment when you're watching Jamal Murray, it just looks like he's the best player on the court when he's cooking. But if you understand the game and you understand the impact that this man Nikola Jokic has, you will never put in question who's the best player on this team, because Nikola Jokic is something special. Which brings me to the best player in the world himself, Nikola Jokic. When you talk about disrespect, it didn't begin when he was almost the last pick of the All-Star game this year. It didn't begin when he was called into question about winning 3 straight MVPs. It didn't begin when people were saying he was stat padding. It began when Jokic was the 41st overall pick in his draft class. Yes, Jokic wasn't even a first-round pick to come into the NBA. But now here we are 9 years later, and Jokic is not only a back-to-back MVP and should be a 3-time MVP, but I digress. He's not only one of the 5 best offensive players of all time, a top 10 center of all time, but he has capped off one of the greatest playoff runs that we have ever seen, probably the best offensive playoff run ever, with a 30-point triple-double on 63% true shooting, now capped with an NBA championship and obviously a finals MVP. Jokic really probably just had the best offensive season that we have ever seen from any player in NBA history. His spot in NBA history should never be called into question whatsoever. He is the best player in the league without question in my personal opinion, and that hurts as a Giannis fan myself. But the things that I have seen this man do, not only this year but last year, the year prior, and the year before that, it is truly unexplainable. He looks like he should be working at Home Depot, but he's out there killing dudes in the league. He ate Rudy Gobert for breakfast, DeAndre Ayton for lunch, and Anthony Davis for the main dinner course. The Miami Heat were dessert for this man. That's why it was so easy. So please put respect on Nikola Jokic's name and this Denver Nuggets team. They have proven the doubters wrong year after year after year, and now was just the cherry on top of the sundae. They deserve your respect. They've earned your respect, and please, media, fans all across the world, give it to this team. That concludes this video though. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and press that bell for post notifications. You guys stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.